Hey guys, it's BTad. If you're enjoying the content here on the channel, consider supporting on Patreon for as little as $1 each month. Links and credits can be found in the description. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to BlackTideTV and a brand new video on Call of Duty World War II. That's the Call of Duty game coming out this year, 2017. We had the official reveal today. We had a reveal trailer, basically a campaign cinematic trailer, as we were all expecting. They also came out, the heads of Sledgehammer Games, developers of this year's Call of Duty, Michael Condrey and Glenn Schofield. They came out and actually discussed the game. They had a bunch of questions that they answered. They had a couple of YouTubers or something there, Mr. Dalek JD and some other guy, and they were asking questions from the community, and they were answering a bunch of stuff about the game. Obviously, they weren't giving us too much information, but we got that reveal trailer. We got a few questions answered, and a lot more questions that need to be asked at this point. So in this video, pretty long video, but we're going to be breaking down the entire event. Basically, the event started around 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, and they set aside like 2 hours for it, but it only took about 50 minutes, including like the post-show. The guys from PlayStation Access came out, and they actually asked a few more questions that kind of broke down the reveal and what all happened in that kind of 30-minute, 40-minute area that they use for revealing the information about Call of Duty World War II. So we're just going to break all of that down. I took a bunch of notes while I was watching it today. I'll actually link the live stream if I can in the description down below, so you guys can go back and watch it for yourselves if you're interested. But definitely an interesting turn of events for the Call of Duty franchise. Now, the gameplay that you're seeing, before we get too far into this and it becomes irrelevant, but the gameplay that you're seeing is actually the last Sledgehammer Games Call of Duty title, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Now, I've tried to keep this as close to what I can do with World War II gameplay as I possibly can. I'm using World War II weapons. You're probably going to see the STG-44 for the first clip, and the second clip is the Sten. So if we get to that second clip, I think with all of the information, all of these different talking points that I need to get through, that you will see both clips. But this is about as good as I can get for giving you guys some background information, some background detail in the gameplay itself. I can't obviously show you gameplay from Call of Duty World War II because no gameplay has come out yet. I can't use the trailer in my videos either. I would just play the trailer on a loop in the background as well, but I honestly don't know how the bigger YouTubers do it. I think it's because they have like their connections or whatever, like the bigger YouTubers, they have their contracts with different industries, like you got like Maker Studios and all those like MCNs, multi-channel networks, and they kind of take care of the copyright stuff. But if I post the trailer in any capacity in the background of this video will get striked to the end of the earth and back. So I'm not going to be posting the trailer itself, but I will be posting some gameplay for you in the background. Sledgehammer Games, so you kind of get a feel for the last game that Sledgehammer really worked on, and I am using World War II weapons. But getting into this thing, we have a lot of talking points to get through, so I got to get going here. First off, by the way, these are not in any particular order. These are just random ideas. As I was watching it, I was writing these down. I kind of try to divide them into different categories, but for the most part, these are just all over the place, random talking points that I thought that we could bring up and talk a little bit more about during this video. But I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section as well, because this is widely speculative right now. We don't have any concrete, really good information about this game until the E3 multiplayer reveal. That's when the multiplayer reveal will be happening. They'll probably have first hands on multiplayer in E3 as well. So they kept talking about it like in the actual reveal. They would say a couple little things, and then people would ask them like another question, like, oh, well, can you tell us a little bit more about this? Oh, well, you better wait for E3. So they just kept saying that. Of course, they're going to have a huge presentation at E3 as they do every single year. But for now, we are still in a speculation kind of area, and I'd love to hear from you guys what you guys think about all of these different topics as we go through them. I will actually number each of these as I go through, so if you want to leave like comments, I'll just say like number 1, and then I'll talk all of my talking points for number 1, and then you guys can put number 1 in the comments and tell me what you think, and then we'll go into number 2, and so on and so forth. So number 1, actual in-game footage. So when the trailer starts, we started off the reveal with a trailer right off the bat. I thought we were gonna have to wait for the trailer, or initially I thought we were gonna sit through this reveal and they were gonna talk and blah 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 for the 30 minutes, and then we were gonna see the trailer at the end. But they kicked the thing off with the trailer right away, smashing it right in your face, and the first thing that pops up is actual in-game footage. That being said, there wasn't really a ton of gameplay in the trailer, and this was to be expected. I wasn't expecting them to post any real like gameplay. Of course, they're not going to post multiplayer gameplay or co-op gameplay. We'll get to the co-op a little bit later in this video, but they didn't even really post story gameplay. So this was not a gameplay trailer. It was mostly a cinematic trailer, as we were all kind of expecting, just showing a bunch of the cutscenes from the single player campaign, showing some of the action set pieces and all that good stuff. It looks very Battlefield 1. I know that's going to piss a lot of people off, but it really does. It looks a lot like Battlefield 1. Now, what they made very clear during the development of this reveal is that they've been working on this game since like 2014. So they've been working on this game for 3 years. They had no idea of Battlefield 1's existence at the time. They didn't know that Battlefield 1 was going to be the way that DICE was going to turn with the Battlefield series. But they just came to the realization about 3 years ago that they wanted to make a World War II game. They wanted to turn the tide and go back to World War II again, and that's why this game is so very much like Battlefield. This is just kind of like the era that we're in, that it's been long enough. It's been about 10 years since the last World War II Call of Duty game, and they said that 10 years is a long time, and it's about time that we get back to our roots with the boots on the ground in the World War II setting. So that's why it's going to be a World War II game. It has nothing to do with Battlefield 1, even though it looks very Battlefield 1, and that's going to piss some people off, but it really does. Like, when you're looking at the actual cinematic gameplay, it looks almost identical to the cinematic trailers for Battlefield 1. Now, if it's going to look like that in-game, I don't know, but the cinematics at least look very, very much like Battlefield 1, and if that's a good thing, it's a good thing. I mean, Battlefield 1 looks like a gorgeous game, but people like a distinction between Call of Duty and Battlefield, and that's kind of going away at this point. They look very, very similar. So it was a cinematic story trailer. Not a whole lot revealed, but we started off with Normandy, storming the beaches at Normandy. Of course, that's where they started. They started with the boats, and the boats were getting bombed, and like the landing ships or whatever, and they were getting hits and crashing, and they had to jump out in the middle of the water, and they ran up on the beach, and there's like an MG sitting up. They've got like the MG nest, like the Germans have the MG nest. Funny enough, I should bring this up right now because I didn't actually make a note of it, but they never said Germans, they never said Nazis until they got to Nazi Zombies, which is the co-op mode, but they never even brought up like Germans or anything like that. They said Axis and Allies. That's what they kept saying. Axis and Allies, Axis and Allies. They never said the German forces. So I don't know what censorship is going to be like for this game, like as far as Germany. With previous games, they've never been able to actually use like Nazis and stuff like that because, well, in Germany at least, because in Germany they actually have a ban on that, I guess. I've been told if there's Nazi terminology or like Nazi symbolism in their games, they completely ban those games in Germany. So I don't know what's going on. I know that one of the developers, either Michael Condrey or Glenn Schofield, they were in there actually talking to the German parliament. They actually posted a thing to Twitter the other day, and they were actually talking to the German parliament about this. So I assume they came to some sort of agreement, but in this game, or in this reveal, they never said the word Germans. They never said anything like that. They just said Axis and Allies, and they never brought up Nazis. So it's weird. I'm definitely interested in the censorship situation for this game, but we're storming the beaches at Normandy, of course, like a classic way to start off a trailer. We get up and there's like a German MG nest, and it's like shooting down at them, and it's really intense, really gets you into that Band of Brothers kind of style. Like it's really dark and gritty, and we will get to that in a minute. But we got Normandy, and then also in this trailer, we see a little bit of tank warfare. We see some aerial dogfighting, so we see there's a good amount of focus on the actual biplanes and stuff flying through the air, or I guess you could call them jet fighters. They're not really jets, they're like fighter planes. So you see these fighter planes coming down, and like you and your squad are like running along, and the fighter planes are coming down like shooting at you and killing your squad and stuff, which gets me really, really interested in kill streaks for multiplayer, because I'm like, are we going to get to pilot are we going to be able to pilot a biplane or something, maybe the gunner on a biplane, and you kind of do like a strafe across? But we'll get into more speculation and stuff like that in future videos. But that's just something that I'd like to bring up, is that there was a lot of focus, like a couple particular scenes in this trailer that really focused on the aerial dogfighting and these fighter planes, and that got me really excited. Last but not least, we saw some AA guns, and that was actually a first-person clip where they were sitting in the AA gun shooting back at these fighter planes, like with this massive cannon just destroying them right out of the sky. Looked really cool. But that was basically all we had in the trailer. There was a couple like emotional moments with like the squad fighting amongst themselves and stuff, but that's all campaign stuff. And campaign, although it is like the base of this whole concoction that we have in Call of Duty, that's the thing that people care about the least. Although I will be going through a lot more of the stuff in the campaign, as the campaign does bleed over to multiplayer, does bleed over to co-op, but that's really all we had in this reveal. It was a campaign reveal. We only had a little bit for multiplayer and a little bit for zombies, so we're going to get into those a little bit later in the video. But continuing on, number 2, talking point number 2. So write that number 2 in the comment section down below and let me know what you think about this topic. The actual situation that you're in. So it's a really authentic, gritty, dark, emotional, historically accurate kind of portrayal of World War II. That's what they were going with this. It's not an arcade shooter anymore. Call of Duty, even back when it was originally about World War II, was still an arcade shooter in that it was more about survival, and it was about about camaraderie and being with your squad and stuff, but it wasn't authentic. Like, it felt like it was the best they could do for the time, but it wasn't like super in-depth and all about the emotional significance of World War II. But that's what they're really focusing on this time in the campaign. So everything's dark and gritty and like really authentic. Like, just looking at the trailer, you can almost smell like the dirt and the gunpowder and the blood with how well it's animated. It really seems like they went full tilt into the authenticity this time around. Now, what they said is this will be the first time that they are exposing World War II to new generations. And this I kind of laughed at that because I was like, do kids not go to like history classes anymore? But they said that they said that the last 2 generations, because there hasn't been too much media on World War II, this will be the breakthrough moment for a lot of for like the last 2 generations of gamers, is that people don't really have too much focus on World War II anymore. Like, back in the day, we had like the Band of Brothers TV show, and we had a lot of World War II era kind of games, and then everything's kind of transitioned away from World War II games. This will be the first World War II game back into that kind of theme, and they said that this is going to expose the World War II genre to a whole new generation of players, and it's going to be like their first experience with World War II, and that's what's going to be so great about it. So I just kind of laughed at that. I was like, there's still history classes, people learn about World War II, but I do agree that it is going to be like the first-person shooter experience that we've had in World War II for quite some time. Like I said, a lot like Battlefield 1, where Battlefield 1 is about World War I, but it's very similar in that kind of aspect. Continuing on with they did some serious research on locations, characters, and weaponry. So they talked about all the research that they've been doing over these last couple of years. They actually went to like places in Europe, and they were like looking at like the old battlements and stuff, and they were photographing everything and looking at old artillery vehicles and stuff like that, and they went and they fired all the old World War II guns. So they are doing some serious research for this game. It's not going to be like the World War II weapons that you're seeing in like Advanced Warfare, where they're kind of just cheap knockoffs. Like, even though it looks like a Sten and it feels like a Sten, it's not a legitimate Sten, right? Because you're in the future and it's all shiny and spiffy and new, and it sounds like a little cap gun when you're shooting it. These weapons that are going to be in Call of Duty World War II are going to be serious. This is going to be serious firepower. Everything's going to feel very real. I am expecting a shit ton of recoil on all of the guns, because they went and they said they modeled everything extremely authentically, 100%. Like, they haven't done that in Call of Duty games in a while, because they've been in the future, they've been making their own guns, which you can't really test out shooting your own gun because it's a made-up thing. They're going back, they're getting real-life, real-world weapons, and they are trying them out for themselves, and that's how they're modeling these weapons. So these things are going to be intense. It's going to feel raw when you're firing these weapons and when you're in these locations, because they did so much research for this, and that's got me really excited, actually. So that's talking point number 2. Number 3. This is also part of number 2, actually. Ordinary people in extraordinary situations. So basically, that's kind of like the catchphrase that they use for this World War II authenticity, is that we're back into that era of Call of Duty where you're just an ordinary guy when you're playing through the campaign, and even in the multiplayer, I assume, you're just an ordinary guy, you're just a grunt in the army, and you're in an extraordinary situation you have to pull through, and you have to band with your brothers, band of brothers, haha, and you gotta fight for this war, and you got to win for your nation. That's what it's all about in this game, or what it seems to be all about in this game. That's what they're really marketing as. Where that's got me excited, because that means no more specialists. That means no more heroic nonsense. Back when Call of Duty started, you were just one fucking guy. Like, you were just a grunt, just doing his job, and that's what made it so authentic. That's what made it feel more real. That's what gave you that experience, because all the other games when Call of Duty first came out were making you out to be the hero. You were this great god figure in all of your video games, and then Call of Duty came out, and now you're just some other grunt on the front lines. And that's what they're coming back to with this game. You're just a grunt, and you're just doing your job, and you're just put in an extraordinary situation. So I'm thinking in multiplayer, we're going to see no more specialists, no more combat rigs, anything like that, like where you have a special ability. You're not special. You're just a guy with a gun. Go and shoot some people. Go shoot some Nazis. That's what it's all going to be about, and that's got me really excited, because I've always disliked that heroic archetype in my Call of Duty games. I've never liked how you're just this god character who can't be killed. You're just running through like a machine, like a well-oiled machine on the battlefield. That's not what Call of Duty started out as, and that's what we're getting back to, or that's not what we're staying with. We're going back to classic COD, where you're just some other guy. And Sledgehammer Games also said they had like a behind-the-scenes thing, and all of the guys at Sledgehammer Games, including Michael Condrey and Glenn Schofield, they were basically saying that this is the best game that any of them have ever created in their entire careers. Now, of course, they're going to say that, but the look in their eyes, like if you were watching this reveal, like I said, I'll try and link it in the description down below so you guys can watch it yourselves. But if you were watching this reveal, from the way that they are talking about this game, like they are holding this game in such a high regard. They're like, never have I worked on such an intricate, more powerful game. Like, they're saying, this is like the highlight of my career as a video game developer. They're like, this is the greatest game Sledgehammer Games has ever produced. And I'm like, 100% on board with that. I'm like, okay, you better fucking prove it. But I'm looking forward to it all the same. Now on to talking point 3. Those are actually, we'll call ordinary people, extraordinary situations, and the best Sledgehammer game ever made. That's going to be talking point 3, because that is a little bit of a block in and of itself. Block number 4, talking point number 4, the weaponry. So they did reveal a few of the weapons, and there were a few weapons in the actual gameplay that we will be seeing in the game. I assume all of these will make their way into multiplayer, though we've seen in Call of Duty past that not all the campaign weapons make it to multiplayer. I assume that most of them will, because World War II doesn't have a whole variety of a ton of different crazy weapons, so they probably need to get as much as they can for the multiplayer, for the zombies and all that stuff. So expect to see these weapons in almost every game mode in Call of Duty World War II, but Allied and Axis weaponry. We've got weapons from both sides of the fight. First off, the MP40. That one's right off there, right off the bat, right in the trailer. You can see it very clearly. MP40 is back. Let's hope it's not as overpowered as it was in World at War. We've got the M1 Garand. Yes, the M1 Garand is back. My least favorite weapon of all fucking time, just because it's been so overused. I think I'm gonna like it in this game though, because it actually suits the time frame. Like the M1 Garand is a World War II weapon. It was like the most popular used assault rifle in World War II, so that makes sense. So the M1 Garand is coming back. It's going to have a huge emphasis on the game, especially because you're following around these US soldiers, so M1 Garand is going to be front and center. We saw a flamethrower being used in the gameplay. Maybe it's going to be a streak in multiplayer. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just going to be a campaign thing, but we did see a flamethrower being used, and that would be really cool to get our hands on. The M1911 pistol is coming back, the 45 M1911. Of course, it's going to be there. The STG-44, the first assault rifle ever made, which was a German one, which you actually saw in this gameplay, in the first clip of the gameplay, and it looks like we're almost at the end of the second clip of gameplay, so I'm going to have to go and get another gameplay just to keep talking about this, because there's so much to talk about here. But that third gameplay clip, I'll try and use the STG-44 again just to get back into that, just to give you a little bit of variety. So STG-44 is coming back. You saw it in the first clip and the third clip of this gameplay, hopefully. The MG42, which is an LMG, a really massive, it's like a slow-firing LMG, but it's a really massive high damage, high stopping power kind of LMG that we're going to have access to as well. We've got the M1903 Springfield, which is a bolt action rifle, one of the main sniper rifles used in World War II. So that one's right up there. It's a bolt action. It's a Springfield. The Springfield, I believe, was one of the more popular sniper rifles in World at War. So That one's coming back, the M1903. We've got the 45 grease gun, which I never even knew was a thing. I actually had to look this one up. It's actually called the M3 SMG. It's like an American-made SMG. It's kind of like the MP40, very similar to the MP40, but it's a little bit smaller. It's like a run and gun. They were kind of joking around about how one of the developers, like when they were testing the game or whatever, he liked to run around and spray and pray with this grease gun. That's what it's called. It's like a slang term for the 45. It's called the M3 originally, but that's the slang term for it. It's like grease gun, which it looks actually super, super cool. Again, you'll have to check out the reveal trailer for images and stuff like that, because I'm not sure what I can post in this gameplay clip, like in this video, without, you know, subjecting myself to copyright claims and copyright strikes and stuff. And last but not least, we saw the Luger P08, which is that freaking super, super popular German-made pistol that made a brief appearance, like very, very quickly, with like a German soldier like shooting down on one of the allied people of your squad in the actual trailer. So I caught that one really quickly as well. There was also a launcher that they were passing around, like a larger launcher. It wasn't like an RPG or anything like that. It was kind of like a larger, maybe it was like a Panzerfaust or something like that. I believe that's what it's called. But that's even a larger launcher than this one. This was like an American-made launcher. I couldn't remember. I've seen it in previous Call of Duty games, but I couldn't exactly remember what it was called. So there's also a launcher in there as well. But those were all the weapons, and that's talking point number 4, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, we're moving on to the next talking point here. Okay, I gotta get this all in order for you guys, so you guys can have a conversation with me in the comment section down below. Actual in-game footage was 1, 2, 3. That was the 4th talking point. We're on to the 5th talking point now, and that is the actual gameplay itself. So in the campaign, where are we going? What are we doing? What is it focused on? A lot of people had questions about, are we going to have like multiple characters, and what are we going to be doing? Like, what front are we going to be attacking on? And they said that this is going to take place entirely within 1944 and 1945 in the European theater of war. So that means we're attacking on the northeast, western fronts. So we're attacking from US going into Germany, and it's going to follow one specific character, but we'll get to that in a second. So we're starting off at D-Day, the landing of Normandy, and then we're fighting through France and through Belgium and making that push, the final push into Nazi Germany. That's what they said that we're going to be doing. They never mentioned a Russian side to the gameplay. Generally, like in Call of Duty past, we've had like an American side and a Russian side, and both sides have been going at it like from either flank, and you kind of like take turns between missions, swapping between characters on the Russian front and on the US front. But they said that this is going to take place entirely on the US front, on the Western assault, and that's basically all you have. Like, you have one division. It follows the 1st Infantry Division and a character named Private Red Daniels. That's the character we play as in the campaign, Private Red Daniels, and this is very much his story. But we will run in, we go through the campaign with the 1st Infantry Division, which is a US division, and then we meet up with French and British characters as well on the way through. There is a male and female diversified cast. They also said that there are African American characters. We meet up with an African American squad, and the game pulls no punches. This is what they said. The game pulls no punches in dealing with how they were treated. So like African American squad and the females and stuff like that, we're going to see probably some racism. We're probably going to see some touchy content in this game, but they said that they made it as realistic as possible. They did not pull any punches, and I'm really excited for that. That might offend some people that they're going to do like some racist remarks and stuff, and I'm really excited to see how they treat the African American squad and what goes on, because apparently you run into this African American squad when they're under attack and you have to help them or something. I'm excited to see how this all works out, because this could be a pinnacle moment of the game. I think it would be a really interesting take on seeing what the world was like in this drab and dreary kind of era of time. So I'm very excited for that moment in the game. But yeah, diversified cast, male and female. We've got different races, like everyone. They said that they're going to see all these different nationalities and stuff, which is good, because that's what the World War was all about. It was about the world at war. So it makes sense. But yeah, we've got Private Red Daniels, and you are going to run into a leader of the French Resistance who is a female, and apparently she's going to be a very big part of the story as well. Continuing on in this same talking point 5, I believe we're on. the three main actors, Josh Duhamel, Jeffrey Pierce, and Jonathan Tucker. You may have heard those names before. I can't put a place to Jonathan Tucker. I don't know if I know him from previous games. Jeffrey Pierce, I've heard the name before. I can't really put a name to what he's been in. Josh Duhamel, however, he's been in a ton of movies. He's like that generic kind of military boy when it comes to movies and stuff like that. He was in the original Transformers movie. He was the military guy, not obviously not the black one, but the white military guy in that, where he was I can't remember exactly what he did. It's been so long, but he was like the guy that rode the motorcycle and then like he slid under the transformer and shot up. He's like that standard action hero kind of military guy, and apparently he's just like the biggest dick in the world in this. He's like your commanding officer in your squadron in the 1st Division, and apparently he's just like an insufferable asshole. He's all about mission before man, and the story is going to really make him turn around and realize that it's about man before mission and saving your squad and camaraderie and all that stuff. So that's what you got with your three main characters. If you guys know of any like big movies or anything like that star these three characters, Josh Duhamel, Jeffrey Pierce, and Jonathan Tucker, let me know in the comment section down below. But that was the 5th talking point, if I'm not mistaken. So like 1, 2, oh boy, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. Okay, so moving on to some multiplayer stuff now. We've got number 6, pre-order private multiplayer beta. So again, you want to pre-order this game if you want to get into the beta. Apparently the beta is happening sometime near August, if I'm not mistaken, but you do have to pre-order to get in. It's not an open beta. I don't know if they're going to announce an open beta eventually. The last couple games have had an open beta for like a weekend, whereas the private beta goes for like a full week. So you do have to pre-order to get the private multiplayer beta. You get it first on PS4. The beta comes out first for PS4. It's still the PlayStation relationship. So DLC is going to come out 30 days early for PlayStation 4 as well. We were all kind of expecting this. They said a lot about E3 for the multiplayer reveal. That they gave us a couple things, which I'm going to talk about just now in the multiplayer, but they said for the majority of the multiplayer stuff, you are going to have to tune into E3, because that's usually where they reveal all of their multiplayer stuff. But for now, we did get 3 kind of little mini things just to like whet our appetite. So first off, War is a new game mode coming to multiplayer. It sounds a lot like, I think it's called Operations in Battlefield 1, where it's like a narrative-driven Axis and Allies capture and defend objective-based game mode. And it looks like it's going to be a 24v24 game mode. If you actually look, I can't remember where I found it, but there's actually imagery. I think it might have been on Amazon, because you can actually pre-order this now. But on the actual information about this game on Amazon, it says that it supports online players from 1 to 48 players online. And no other Call of Duty game has ever said that. The maximum amount of players you could ever have in a lobby was 18. Now it says 48. So War seems a lot like this operations mode in Battlefield 1, where it's going to be like a 24v24, and it's like a mission-based thing where you play a bunch of consecutive games against the enemy, and it's very much based on iconic World War II battles, and you move from like one area to another area. And they said that the map changes and stuff as you play. They said like as you go through and conquer your enemy and stuff, it's actually going to change the style of like how you're playing the game. Sounds super awesome. It sounds like something that I've been wanting in Call of Duty for a very long time, almost like a campaign multiplayer mix. And this is just one of the game modes that will be available in multiplayer. I'm not sure if you're going to have to play it like, if it's going to be like a clan war thing, or if it's going to be like a regular game mode that you can just hop in and play, or what's going on with this thing. But it definitely sounds interesting. It's definitely piqued my interest. Next up, we've got Headquarters. I'm not going to get to Headquarters yet. Divisions. So divisions sound a lot like mission teams. They said that you can choose a specific unit. Basically, you have a bunch of these units available to you, and depending on which unit you choose, that will impact the way that you go through the multiplayer experience, how you will go through and actually level up. It will actually impact how you level up, what you unlock, and all kinds of stuff like that. Sounds a lot like mission teams from Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, if you ask me, but that's what divisions are. Apparently, you can sign up for them, and then you can like switch them around and stuff whenever you're playing. So I'm definitely interested to see what we can get through these divisions. Like maybe we'll have like an Allied division and an Axis division, and the only way to unlock Allied weapons or something, you go through the Allied divisions and unlock those, and then you kind of switch over and you can be an Axis for a while. And I'm very excited to see how these divisions work. Lastly, for our multiplayer stuff, Headquarters. So this is a living space to connect, compete, and show off. It's basically like a boot camp. I'm not sure if it's going to be like a lobby or what's going on with this thing, if you actually have to enter into this thing, or if it's just going to be like the general area for multiplayer, which would be very cool to have this instead of like a menu system just to flick around and find a game in. It would be neat to have this boot camp kind of area with your friends. Basically, it sounds a lot like Destiny's Tower Social. If you've played Destiny, there's an area in the very middle of the game where you have to go through this area to get to anywhere. Basically, you head to the tower. That's where you get your missions. That's where you get your that's where your vendors are. That's where you can hook up with your buddies, and you can just chill around. You can show off your cool armor and stuff. I'm expecting that's what this is going to be with Headquarters. They said it's an off the front lines experience. That's a direct quote. It really seems like it's going to be like a lobby. I like what they did with the lobbies in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, where you're kind of standing around and like when you're in the lobby, you can see everybody's outfits. I feel like it's the next evolution to that, where you're in this area, like say you come off of a mission or you come off of a round and you come back into this area and you're in like a boot camp and you're with all of the people that were just in that game, or maybe it's with all of your friends. I'm going to get into a very, very long video about this in particular because I heard of this before the actual reveal, and I have been planning a video for this topic directly, so I will have a full video on this. But I'm expecting like an area for your friends or an area for the people that you just play the game with, and you can all just like hang out there and check out each other's armor. They said there's a lot of emphasis on showing off people who have prestige and who have special unlocks and stuff, so you can kind of like go around and show off, and you can maybe sign up for quests or join teams, or I don't know what you're going to be able to do in this thing, but it's got me super, super excited. We've never seen a social area in a Call of Duty game before, so this is going to be very exciting. This is one of the biggest things that I'm looking forward to hearing about more at E3. And last but not least, I don't know what talking point we're on now, but just figure it out and put the number down. The final talking point is of the co-op game mode, and as they were introducing this co-op game mode, they're saying this is a horror game. And that's the big turning point here with Nazi zombies in Call of Duty World War II. It is Nazi zombies. They showed off an image of a Nazi zombie, and apparently it's going to be about the Third Reich's attempt to create an army in the final stage of the war. So they're basically right towards the end of the war. The Germans were really kind of falling behind, and they needed like an edge up on the competition. They were really struggling. So what they decided to do was turn to science, and this is actually historically accurate as far as I know. But they turned to science, and they were trying to really innovate and come up with a new way to create an army, a new way to create like new weapons and scientific kind of nonsense. And apparently that's turned them into making Nazi zombies in this game. So they really marketed it in this little reveal as it being a horror game mode. They said horror multiple times. They said stuff like that. Like they were really making it sound like it was a horror game. They're like, I've never worked on a horror game or a scary game or anything like that. This is going to be a very different experience. Like from what they're saying, I'm expecting a very different experience in the zombies than any other zombies that's come before. We've had Treyarch, which is kind of like a steely grind, like a really serious steely grind. Then we've had Infinity Ward zombies, which has been like really fun and floaty and just like kind of ridiculous. And now we're moving into Sledgehammer zombies, which their exo zombies were not that good, let's all be honest. But now we're moving into Sledgehammer Nazi zombies, and they are saying it's a horror game. I am definitely excited about that. So all of this huge package of a game comes out on November 3rd, 2017. They will have a huge multiplayer reveal at E3. I assume they're going to get into some more zombies and stuff like that at E3 as well. Probably some more campaign. We'll probably see a campaign trailer, like an actual gameplay trailer before then, probably to like hype up E3. But this game actually looks really, really cool. But that's the full reveal breakdown. We're over 30 minutes already. I've been talking so long. But I will have like my opinions and stuff like that coming out over the next week or so. Like I said, I'm going to have a full video on that headquarters. We'll probably have a full video on zombies as well. I'm just going to break down as much as I can in other videos. This has basically just been like the breakdown of the reveal itself. Overall, guys, I am pretty damn excited for this. I'm glad that we're finally moving back to boots on the ground. I think World War II was a little bit far back to go. I was actually putting money on Vietnam War because there would have been more to do with that. Like they're going to be really limiting themselves in terms of gameplay area like maps and weapons, but the story itself is going to be very good. The campaign is again at the major focus of this reveal, which I don't know why they always focus on campaign so hard, because campaign is just a thing that we all use to warm up for multiplayer. I don't know of too many people that just sit around and play the campaign over and over and over and over and over again. So even though the campaign sounds pretty damn cool, we want some more details on multiplayer. We want some more details on Nazi zombies, but that is going to conclude today's video, guys. I'm pretty pumped for this game. I think it's going to be pretty damn cool. I think Sledgehammer might be revitalizing the series a little bit. Everyone that has kind of brought up that Battlefield 1 is so much better than Call of Duty, like Battlefield has taken over Call of Duty because of Battlefield 1, that's kind of all disappeared all of a sudden. Like, all the Battlefield guys are kind of like looking at this probably right now like, oh shit, like this looks good. Like the gameplay, like I know it's not a gameplay trailer, but it's a cinematic trailer, and just from the cinematics of it and the graphics and everything, like the emotion that you can feel in the characters just in this trailer, this looks good. This looks really good, and it looks like it's well researched, and I am very excited for it. I'm gonna pre-order it. I mean, I pre-order all my Call of Duty games because it's Call of Duty and I'm gonna buy them anyways, but whew, this looks like a good game. This could be a game changer for the Call of Duty franchise. We've been falling down the last couple years. This could be a game changer. I'll have a full video on my personal reactions. Like, this was just a breakdown of the reveal itself. I'll have a full, my personal reactions, maybe coming out tomorrow or the next day. I've got to bump some stuff around and make room for all of the craziness that came out of this reveal. I wasn't expecting the reveal to be as big as it was with the multiplayer stuff and the zombie stuff. We don't usually get all that. We usually just get like a trailer and a pat on the back and a how do you do, and there you go. But we got a lot more than I was expecting with this reveal, so I will be breaking down a little bit more over the next few days or so. So stick around the channel for that. I thank you for sticking around for 36 minutes of my commentary. My God, I'm so sorry. But this was a huge reveal, and it needed to be break down. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Like I said, I gave you all those talking points. I lost track of where they were a bunch of times, but I gave you all those points as I was going through the commentary. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. Leave your talking points and tell me all about what you think about this game. What other weapons do you think we're gonna have? What do you think about Call of Duty World War II? That is going to conclude today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a little late. It's probably because it's so long. It's going to take quite some time to upload. It'll probably be after midnight by the time this thing uploads. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys. Oh, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and all that good stuff for more Call of Duty World War II news and updates. Follow me on Twitter at BlackTideTV, and consider supporting me on Patreon for as little as $1 each month. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.